In this video today, I'm going to talk to you about traveling with guns. And of course, the context with me is always Africa. So most of these things will also apply to other international travel with guns when you're heading out on a hunting trip, whether that's a safari to Africa or possibly other places. One of my pet peeves of late has been people who do things wrong and have a lot of trouble on a hunting trip to Africa, for instance, and then they come back and they tell everybody, oh no, it's too much trouble to take your own rifle. You better just borrow a camp gun. Folks, nothing can be further from the truth. It's not difficult to travel with guns. There's a few steps in the process. There's a few things to do ahead of time, some homework. And then when you're traveling through the airports, yes, there's an hour here and 30 minutes there that is spent jumping through some of the hoops that we have to jump through with paperwork and things. In my opinion, you're most of the time stuck in the time to be able to go on your adventure. Use your own gun that you've been shooting at home and preparing for this great adventure. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through a few of the key points that I have learned over the years of traveling with a rifle to go on a safari to Africa. One of the first thing that's gonna be most important for all of this to work correctly is for you to use a travel agent who is well versed in traveling with guns. So I have used quite a few travel agents over the years. They all have their good points as long as they're a travel agency that specializes in booking flights for hunters. I am working with Patrick Wright, pwptravel.com. Patrick Wright has been my travel agent for some time. He and his team are able to get me flights organized on gun-friendly airlines, on the routes that I would like to go on and the times that I would like to travel. And they just recently booked me on some flights at a very good price and one that I wouldn't have been able to find myself. So a good travel agent will help keep you out of a lot of the pitfalls that happen with people when they just buy a plane ticket on their phone, don't know anything about that airline's regulations and how things work. So stay out of that mess of trying to do it yourself. Pay a couple $100 and use a travel agent. You'll be much happier in the long run. So with that said, the next thing is how are we going to carry our guns? What are we going to do to transport them safely and legally and securely overseas? And so we're going to want to use a quality hard side gun case. You know, years ago we used to have those cheap little Plano lightweight cases for taking a gun in the back seat of the truck places. Folks, those will not work. And actually, most of the gun cases out there have problems with them in one fashion or another. And so what I'm going to recommend what I've been around the world with is the Pelican cases. Pelican's got a couple different models of these two gun cases. You're welcome to research those and find the one that you like the best. There's other options out there. They do come with some caveats and some problems. A lot of people love these aluminum gun cases. Those have been one that people like. I just came back from a safari where one of them was a complete disaster. We got back to Atlanta, flying back from South Africa. Another client who was on the same itinerary as us, not the same hunt as we were on. It had been raining where we were hunting. And he gets to Atlanta and his gun case is completely soaked. The foam is soaked all the way through. And thankfully the nice TSA agent gave him some paper towels and helped him to try to clean up that mess. But boy, I felt for that guy. His guns were probably rusted by the time he got home. Pelican case is not going to do that. It's waterproof. It completely seals. I love the Pelican case. It's done a lot for me. Before I open the case and talk about how the guns are packed, I do want to make a point. No matter what case you have, there has to be a lock in every hole. So wherever the holes are in your case, you've got to have a lock there, and then you need an extra. TSA just made this rule a couple years ago where there's got to be a lock in every hole, and I assume that that rule came from some of these lightweight, junky cases not staying shut very well. What I did was, I don't want to carry that many locks. If you got to have 4 locks, you got to have 4 extras, and then you get into a weight issue. And so what I did was, this Pelican protector is great. It's got the 2 locking holes that are metal, and then it's got the 2 plastic ones. Well, my plastic ones are gone. I cut them off. That's what I did to get around the rules. Now I can take 4 locks, 2 on the gun case, 2 in a gear bag inside, so I'm covered if something happens to my locks. And locks do get broken, no matter which ones you buy. Unfortunately, there's rough handling that goes on, and you're going to have some locks broken. Now, this might be the most controversial subject on traveling with guns these days. Boy, you'll find a lot of opinions on the locks and different ideas. Personally, for me, I'm using these Snap Safe TSA heavy-duty locks. Some people say, no, you're not supposed to use a TSA lock because you're only supposed to be the one with the combination of the key. Well, I disagree with that. The government's not a person, and if TSA wants in your gun case, they're getting in. So thinking that you have some kind of special security with your locks is really nonsense. Now, if you insist on using a non-TSA lock, please use a combination lock. If you use a key lock and somehow you get separated from your rifle case, it's not ever going to catch up to you. If it's combination, you could always call someone on the phone and say, hey, if you have to inspect, here's my combination, and you can get out of there. These locks have been very good for me and those that have used them. They're not perfect. They'll wear out eventually. As many trips as I've been on, some of them will wear out eventually, getting beat around. But for instance, we were checking in on a recent safari in San Antonio, Texas, and with Delta, and those folks at the ticket counter asked us, do you have TSA locks? And I said, yes, we do. And they were very thankful because they said it's going to go on back there. TSA is going to open it, do their little swabbing, put it right back, and then you don't have to worry about it. If you have the other kind of locks, you've got to sit there and wait on them. That gives some people peace of mind. Well, I've got my TSA locks, folks, and I'm in the lounge relaxing while you're waiting on TSA. Choose which way you want to do that. Take extra locks so you're able to deal with the ones that break, and they will break at some point. So have a couple extras. And then for packing the gun case, it's a trendy thing to have the foam cut perfectly, have your rifle and your scope cut out and everything so nice and neat, and that's great. But if you're going to do that, you still need a soft case while you're on the hunt. You're going to need a soft case to put your gun on the gun rack in the back of the bakkie that you're riding around in every day. So you're still going to need a soft case. So what a lot of us do, we're going to take out some of that foam and not do the neatly cut foam. We're going to just have the guns in soft cases ready to go. So we've got foam in the top, foam in the bottom, the middle foam is gone. And so I've got soft cases here for these rifles. One point on that is you want to have your optics facing in. Don't have your scope on the outside. Make sure your scope is facing in. Both of these guns are facing in. And that's going to protect your gun. With this case and this setup, I have not had any damage ever to any of my guns, and they're rarely off. Yes, from time to time, something's off a click or two, and that can be helped. We know that's going to happen. That's why we shoot our guns when we get to camp and check on everything. Couple of tips. I will have behind my top foam, I will stash a couple of things back here. One is going to be some targets. I hate getting overseas and then shooting in a box or a piece of cardboard stapled to a tree or nailed to a tree. I'm going to take a few targets. Whether I use them or not, I'll decide when I get there. I'm also going to have an envelope full of all of my paperwork, extra copies of my Customs 4457s on my guns, which is one of our requirements for traveling overseas, a copy of my passport, and then a copy of the letter of invitation for the outfitter that I'm hunting with. So if things go sideways and I need that, those are the 3 key items that could keep me out of trouble. I may also have flight itinerary and a few other things in there, but those are the items that I'm definitely going to need. What you don't want to do with your gun case is pack a lot of clothes in here, or really any clothes. It's pretty much started in Europe a few years ago, them not wanting clothes in the gun case, and now that's spread to where in South Africa they don't want clothes in the gun case. I suppose it's mostly the thought of you're obscuring something, you're hiding something in the case, so you are allowed to put other things in the case. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put things that are related to the guns. I'm going to have just a gear bag. I just have one of these gear bags. That's got gun cleaning stuff. If I'm taking a suppressor, that's where the suppressor is going to be. If you're taking a suppressor, you need to understand all the paperwork and procedures for where you're going. And I suggest a small suppressor. Out of sight, out of mind is my way of thinking. That's a Thunder Beast Ultra 5, a great 30 cal suppressor, and it's super small. No one will ever know it's there. But just a few gun cleaning supplies, a couple of tools. Don't put your tools for working on your scopes in your backpack. TSA is going to stop you, or the guys in Africa are going to stop you and take your backpack apart because they don't know what those tools are. Put your tools and things in here and keep those packed away. Another reason for taking a 2-gun case, you may only take 1 rifle. You can't, like I said, you can put some other things in here, maybe some things that are heavy you're trying to keep out of your luggage. But on most international flights, and everything's for a fee now, of course, you've got 50 pounds times 2 on that flight for the normal pricing of bags. And you may have free bags depending on your airline status and on your the credit card you carry for travel. So there are other ways to pack guns, and we'll discuss some of those. This is the most practical way to do it. Everything's right here in one case. I'll have that thing locked up and ready to go, and I'm just not going to have trouble with this Pelican case. Now, let's talk about how we're going to carry the ammo. Again, Pelican cases. We want to have the smallest case that will carry the ammo that we need for our trip. And now our ammo box is going to go in our suitcase. That's going to be a lock box like this in our suitcase, separated from the guns. If you're flying to Alaska, you can throw a box of ammo in your gun case, no problem. When you travel overseas, the IATA regulations state that the ammo needs to be in a lock box separated from the gun, which means in your suitcase. This is the Pelican 1200. This is the one I recommend for most people because it will hold 5 boxes of 300 Winchester. You can customize it, take out the foam as needed. I may put 1 layer of foam in here. I'm going to keep the one in the top and the rest gone, or depending on how the ammo fits. But you can fit 5 boxes of 300 Winchester in this case. These cases are not very expensive, and they're also readily available on eBay. These small Pelican type cases are oftentimes used in the camera business and photo rental business. And so these are available, used, and they come in pretty good shape, and they're going to be basically new. And of course, after one trip to Africa and them getting used, and they're not going to look new anymore anyway. Y'all know I'm a sheep rancher, so I've got cattle brands and sheep brands. I've got some little electric brands, so I brand mine. You can always just take a Sharpie, put your information on there. You will want a luggage tag on there because some flights within Africa will require you to check this separately once you get there. This is the 1300, so if I'm hunting with big bore ammo, I've got to go a little bigger. So I'm going to have some, like on the previous trip, some big bore ammo, and then some 300 or 375 or whatever I'm hunting with. And this is what I've got to go to. When you do hunt with big bore ammo, then you start running into some weight issues. One point to know on ammo, you're only allowed 11 pounds of ammo to travel overseas on an airplane. That's an IATA regulation that covers all airlines in all countries. Rarely are you going to be up to that limit. When I'm with the big bore ammo, I'm pushing it. I'm probably 10 pounds, depending on the hunt. Some folks run into a problem with a ticket agent somewhere that insists this whole case can't be over 11 pounds. That is not the truth. The truth is it's the ammo that can not weigh over 11 pounds. That said, sure, it's better to have the whole case less than 11 pounds to stay out of trouble. But if you know your stuff, you can deal with that if it comes up. But keep in mind, 11 pounds, luggage tag, lock. You can use the same locks as you use on your gun case if you'd like. That way you've got extras. Have an extra for this too. They break as well. They get kicked around when you're in Africa, and when they do make you take these out of your suitcase. A quick comment on takedown cases. So, you know, I hunt with the Blaser R8 a lot, and I've got one of those cool takedown cases that's for the Blaser R8. And that's neat. You can take the gun apart and be able to pack it like this. In my experience, I've not had the best luck with the quick detach scope rings, except for the Blaser. The Blaser truly goes back to zero. I have used this before. Then I've got to have a soft case in my suitcase. So I have a soft case in my suitcase and have the gun taken down. So keep that in mind. Some people want to take their scopes off, put them in their backpack for safety, for peace of mind that they're not going to get torn up. I've got one of the most expensive scopes you can buy, and I'm going to have it just like I showed you previously, packed in the Pelican 2-gun case with a scope cover and with the soft case, and I've not had trouble. I've seen people who divert from this way of thinking and oftentimes do have things broken. So this is one way that you can carry your guns and be confident in how things are going to go going overseas. I mentioned luggage tags. Make sure you have those on all of your cases. You'll be surprised how many people get to the airport and forget that they need a luggage tag on this and that. I was taking a group on safari a couple years ago, and quite a few of them did not have any tags, and they were putting those little paper American Airlines tags on there to go on 4 flights to Africa. That's not going to work. So get some luggage tags. Sometimes your travel agent will have those. If not, just go find some. I think that about wraps up what I want to tell you about traveling with guns. But I want to go back and reiterate what I started this video with. If you will go with a travel agent, spend the couple $100 it costs to use someone like Patrick Wright to book your flights. What they also do that you can't do yourself is your guns are on your electronic ticket. So every step of the way, every agent you encounter, they already know you have a gun. It's electronically on your plane ticket. And that's one of those things that just keeps things working smoothly and not having problems. Use an agent, take your own guns, practice at home with your own guns, and have a great safari.